Well, Dansby, welcome back to the pod, man. We loved having you last time, and we're pumped to have you again, this time as a member of the Chicago Cubs. Thanks for being back.
Man, you ain't got a lot of me like that. Y'all know that that wasn't that good on the pod the last time. So
Oh yeah, right.
No way, man.
Yeah.
We both walked away and we were like, dang, Dansby can talk. He's good, man. Like, he's an interesting dude.
It really was awesome.
So,
Nah, just to hear
you can talk.
but the perspective just from the youth sports side, when we were talking the last time, and like letting kids understand your journey, and it's not always the greatest road to take. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to explain that on the pod, I think was huge for fans to listening to this. It was great.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's so funny, man, the way of the world, how it's changed. I mean, we were just talking about like Vandy baseball and just like you see trajectories of different programs and how things come to be and all that stuff. It's cool, man.
So last time we chatted with you, Dansby, you had recently proposed. Now you are recently married. A lot of life changes. Recently married. You get a big deal to sign with the Cubs. You moved on from your hometown Braves and your championship team there. First of all, let's start with the wedding. An enchanted forest wedding, is that right?
Is that your description of the wedding?
That's the description that was researched for us. Would you say that is an accurate description of the wedding?
This is how I assisted in wording what our wedding was like, and to me it was elegantly simple. It was nice. We had nice stuff, but it was super simple, and that's how we like to live our lives anyway. It's like I'm cool with having nicer stuff, but I just want to keep everything like as simple as can be. I don't want to like be flashy. I don't want to be over the top. We don't want to, we don't want to be those people that like we live a very like comfortable life, and that's that. Like, don't spend much money on anything, So, but yeah, the wedding, man, it was literally like. It was the best day of my life for sure. Like, awesome. It's the only time that you can have all of like you and your wife's people in the same spot at the same time. And I'll go ahead and tell you this: it got ratchet real quick at our wedding. And me and Mal were on like we're gonna have a DJ, and it's gonna be like a high school party in terms of like it's gonna be like an aux. Like, it's not gonna be like we're mixing stuff. So one of my good friends, his name's Pi. DJ Pi.
DJ Pi.
DJ Pi was running things, and we just go up there and just like literally request songs. And man, I tell you what, like we did first dances, me and her and her dad, me and my mom, and then we started off a little slow, just like every wedding is. Bro, I'm telling you, like fourth song in, I just hear Pi come over the mic and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but I was not able to find an edited version of this next song, so I'm just saying sorry in advance. And he started playing Freestyle by Lil Baby, and after that, man, it was like over. Like, it was like we just, man, it was ratchet for the next like 3 hours. I pretty much performed What's Your Fantasy like on stage. Like, man, we were wilding for sure.
That's dope.
That is fantastic. Well, and Dansby, correct me if I'm wrong. And by the way, officially that description was from People Magazine, just so you know.
Okay.
But is it true that Waffle House catered the after party?
That is very factual.
Wow,
that's amazing.
That's the way to go,
that's
right there.
Big league move, right
there.
Yeah. Well, that's like we were talking. People do like gift bags and like all that stuff when you show up to the wedding, and they do it kind of like specific to where you're doing it. We're just like kind of thinking through things like, okay, what could we do that's like Atlanta based that would be good to kind of like incorporate into a gift or whatever. And I got to know this guy named Walt Emmer at Waffle House, and so we're like, you know what, like we want to throw a little after party after the reception, because you can only go to a certain time based on like curfew and everything. So I hit him up and I was like, what are the possibilities? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So they like basically brought in like a little crew and set up in this little lake house that we had rented. And man, it was it was like the highlight, I think, of everyone's night, honestly. Like it brought everybody back to life. Like, and like how you can't complain, like the Waffle House, man. Like Waffle House is the GOAT.
That's the end of every night. Good night, though. You know what I mean? Like the end of every epic night ends at Waffle House.
Yes.
That is tremendous. Now, Dansby, your wife, Mallory, now Mallory Swanson, Mallory Pugh, we previously knew her as, obviously, in her outstanding soccer career. She just had a ridiculous She Believes Cup. I think scored 8 goals in the last 6 games she's had. And it says Swanson on her jersey now. And I'm wondering for you, man, how cool is that watching another Swanson dominate in athletics the way that your wife is?
So funny story about so one day I hit, I was checking the ESPN app as I do like every 20 minutes just to see if anything new's happened. And I'm scrolling and I see like Leeds US team, or something like that. And I swear, I said, I'm playing for the USA team. I realized I was like, oh man, like I completely like in a way, like it's so new to us too, And even she's like, man, I'm like working to like get used to it, but man, it was such a cool. It's been so amazing. Obviously, number one, like being able to watch her like achieve at the level that she is right now is just, it's so special, man. Like being supportive, like to her through good times, bad times, and just kind of seeing everything that like all the work she's put in, the things that she's gone through, that people don't know about. I mean, there's just so much stuff, right? That you see from like your wife and your loved ones that no one else would see. And she's handled it like first class, and she's done so much work on herself, like both, obviously like physically, mentally, spiritually, like you name it. Like she's in such a great spot and put her faith in the right things. And it's truly amazing watching her play. And then the changing of the jersey part was like a conversation we had as well, because it's not to say it's rare, but I mean, it just doesn't happen as much because she had built such a brand really for herself as Mallory Pugh, and we had some conversations about like, should I change it? Should I not? And I mean, I just kind of said like, we're committing to each other, right? Like we are committing our lives to one another, to serve God's purpose together. Like we can't pick and choose, you know what I mean? Like we can't pick and choose what it is, that we're trying to represent. Like it's a full out commitment. And, we obviously agreed about that. And here we are, Swanson number 9.
Very cool, man.
Dope.
I got a great scenario I just thought of for you, Dansby. Great scenario. Now, I'm very familiar with the dates of the Women's World Cup this summer, because I think I've told you in the past, maybe Megan Rapinoe is one of my close friends. I'm probably going to go over to New Zealand or Australia at some point because it's going to be her last World Cup. Want to see a game or two. Still trying to figure it out, but that's at least the working plan. And then I started thinking about like, oh, maybe Dansby will be there. And then I thought, no, he won't be because he'll be in season. And then I thought of this. Let's say the Cubs are 25 games under 500, okay? And we don't want this scenario to happen, mind
What
you.
type of fucking scenario is this? Don't even start this scenario.
I want to know.
This scenario is trash already, cuz.
No. Okay. Let's say this. See, I'll give you a better one. I'll give you the flip. The Cubs are 25 games over 500. You have an 11-game lead in the division. You have it looks like you're definitely on your way to having the best record in the National League, right? Is there any chance you lobby to get over there? Because it's not a quick trip. This is why it's really interesting, right? Is there any scenario in your mind where you can lobby to get over there?
All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this, Season. You're gonna laugh when I say this. My boy's been involved in the NBA too much. That's because they, load management.
That scenario was so trash from the beginning. Like
Dansby's right. It's a very NBA scenario.
So NBA, man, it hurts. I'm like, man, you're talking about a guy that played 162 games last year.
Literally 162 games.
Yeah, I played them all, and like. up or down don't matter. Like the whole purpose is, and C Snows, like when you build good culture and you want to build like a winning environment, like everything's about winning all the time. Like it doesn't matter what it is. It was funny. Me and Cliff Floyd, he was out here at the beginning of spring, and we were talking. It's like, man, like this ain't even about like competing. Like people get it twisted sometimes. Like it's not about just competing, and it's not just always about doing your best. Like it's kind of like fairy tale for me. Like no, this is about winning. Like whether you play your best or don't play your best, all that matters is at the end of the day if you have more runs after 9 innings than the other team. Like that's all that matters. And really instilling that into the Cubs and to what we're trying to build and all those kinds of things. Like, man, there ain't no scenario in which I can go to Australia. And I it pains me because like I hate that I will not be able to be there. And the day that I was going to sign my contract, I was talking to Tom Ricketts, and I'd even made the joke about like, hey man, do I get like PTO like at the end of like July or whatever? And we just started laughing and it stinks, but she's gonna go crush it. They're gonna do so well. So,
but what's cool though is like that being your wife and you being able to be interested in like invested in the World Cup. How how Ryan, like we get invested in the World Cup as players when it's during the summer. So for Dansby and his teammates, it's gonna be even cooler to have his teammates watching his wife in the World Cup. You know what I mean? Like him still being able to do his thing and being with his guys and watching his wife maybe on the big screen at Wrigley. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a dream scenario, not fucking being up by 25 games and going to New Zealand. Like being able to watch her in Wrigley with his guys during BP is, you know what I mean? Like that'll be everybody in Cub Nation or in Wrigleyville will know, Mallory Swanson's playing for Team USA.
And that's the one thing I've learned too about Chicago fans. And like, I'm sure y'all probably seen, like, I think things get twisted, when you talk about like fan bases, this and that, because people like assume that when I talk about Cubs fans, like I hate on Braves fans. Like Braves fans are tremendous. Like I don't understand where people get that from. Like I'm an Atlanta kid, you know what I mean? So if I'm talking bad about Atlanta fans, I'm literally trashing myself. So I think people get that part twisted. But like Chicago people, it's a different level of like, it's a different tier in terms of like the care level. Like even Cubs ownership stuff was talking to me about like, they want to throw like big watch parties for like the World Cup stuff. You know what I mean?
That's
like
so
for
cool.
like fans and everything. Like that's like, it blew my mind. Like I didn't even think of that, and they want to do stuff around like her because, we're both in Chicago, and it's just like, it's truly amazing, just like the level of like intimacy that the fan base has for its players, and obviously we have for the city of Chicago. It's like it's such an amazing place to be, man. I couldn't have scripted any better for myself. God has done so much for us, and we prayed about this decision, man, for months and months. And each day it just started to get clearer and clearer, and we felt like we were put in the place that we were supposed to be. So can't argue with that.
And the Cubs are a first-class organization, top to bottom, like you said, just being so intimate with their players. But, I mean, they really are involved with everything that you have going on. I mean, I spent a couple of days there in the summer, and Fergie Jenkinson got a statue outside of Wrigley, and just the way that the ownership treated him like family, it's just something that you want to be a part of, you know what I mean? And even me being an ex-player outside, looking in that organization, the way they treated me coming in and, walking around the stadium and just, everything is just there for you. So it's first class in the way they treat, their players and former players.
No, man, it's crazy. Like the day we were up there and we were going to sign, we were standing in the locker room and the weather was not great out. This was like mid-December, probably the week before Christmas. And we're standing there talking, like getting ready to go up. And Tom Ricketts came down and we were like, man, you didn't need to come. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have thought anything of it if you didn't. But he like wanted to make it a point to come and to introduce himself. But like the crazy thing is like when he shook my wife's hand, when he shook my parents' hands, like he already knew their names, and like introduced himself and like, hey, Mrs. Swanson, like Miss Nancy Swanson, like I'm Tom Ricketts. Like, nice to meet you. Like, he knew already, which it just kind of spoke volumes to me of just like, this guy's worth billions of dollars, but he deems it important to know my family and to come introduce himself, to take time out of his busy day. I'm sure busy for him, like take time out of his busy day to be able to just be there for that moment that was so cool. Like it just kind of shows you everything that this place is about.
Now, Dansby, you ended up getting an incredibly lucrative deal, and you set your family up forever with that kind of contract. That's always going to be part of the motivation, right? But you said like, hey, you weren't sure at first whether or not Chicago was the right fit for you. What in the process, I know you said you prayed on it a lot with Mallory, what made you confident that no, the Cubs are the right fit for where I'm going?
Kind of originally when we had talked about Chicago, like kind of leading into free agency, it was kind of like no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, And then I met with Jed Carter and Rossi, the manager, and I was like, okay, like I can see the vision now. You know what I mean? Because see, it's like when you look at a big league team, you're like, I know if they can play or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny too because I've said this kind of quietly around camp of like, I didn't even really like the way like Cubs people acted like over the last couple years. You know what I mean? Like it was like too loose and fun for me. Like I'm pretty old school. Like I'm all about my business. I enjoy it, but like
it seems like a party, right? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Like, and because that's what the fans do, and I'm like, I don't want to represent that part. I want to represent like blue collar. We're going to do this thing each and every day, and so I started to kind of see like, okay, like got some really good players. You know what I mean? Like in the minor leagues coming up. And this was obviously before like Hosmer and Mancini and Tucker Barnhart and like some of these and Boxberger and some of these guys that we, I think JMO, which you probably know, Steve Jameson, he had just signed, and you could like kind of see like, dang, like between Stroh, him, some of the young pitchers, like we got a chance to be pretty good. And then they said we started praying about it more and more, and then the connection about my grandfather, and it was just like all these things like started taking place. It was like, wow, like there's so much more in store for us here than we could have ever imagined. And like we're just called to be here. I don't know what's going to unfold here, but I know that this is where we're supposed to be. And that's really all the conviction that we need. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a dope transition.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Dansby referencing his grandfather, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, Dansby, but you used to always play baseball with him. He'd hit you grounders every day. You go to his house, and he was a Braves fan, but his second favorite team was the Cubs, and he would always have the games on at his house on WGN.
Yeah, and so he like, I'd always be like, Pops, like, why are you watching the Cubs, man? He just like loved baseball so much, and they were always on. They were on WGN. So he always just kind of had like an affinity towards the Cubs. And he had passed. So he passed away the day after Mal and I got married, which is just wild.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, and we were just, we cried a ton on that Sunday, and it was like, welcome to marriage, honey. Like first day of marriage, like we're already dealing with something like this, and, but it just, it was, we were on the honeymoon, and we were at dinner talking about one night, and both of us, we were just talking about free agency and just like the scenarios. And like when my wife feels something, like when she feels like she's like a feeler, like she can sense and just feel things, like it just comes to her differently. And she started crying, and she started going through the story about like Pops and like what she was feeling like spiritually about like the connection and everything. And it was just like, we felt so led to Chicago, like bit after bit after bit, man. It was truly amazing, like the door and how it was open for us.
Very cool. Dansby, we got to ask you about the rule changes, because C and I have just been delighted watching the pace of play this spring. What has it been like for you playing with the new rule changes in MLB?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
You don't like it?
No. Say it. Say it.
Go for it, Dansby. We love other opinions on this.
The intentions are great. I think the execution is poor. And the reason I say that is because, number one, the generic concept that I do not understand is how you can have essentially a pitch clock, right, or a shot clock or a play clock, but you don't have an actual game clock. Does that make sense? So, the NBA and the NFL, they have a game clock, right, for the shot clock. So they can tailor it out. And so I think that's where I get a little bit of my issue is if we're going to do that, we're just doing that to cut down game time. And so there's not as much intention as I wish there would be. However, I do like it because I think we would all agree that the games are too long.
Right.
And I think that to keep better rhythm, I fan interaction, all that, I get it. But you want better rhythm in the game. So a pitch clock kind of helps establish a rhythm because there's penalty behind it. I think that they need to change the time because 15 seconds, bro, it's so fast. It is you're out of breath hitting fast, which is not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that they could change the length. I think it could be 20 and 25 or even 20 and 24. I think that makes the most sense. Defensive shifting, I kind of have mixed opinions. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. I think that some of the stuff is a little silly because I think that they need to change language on the shifting things. And I've been trying to tell every umpire this. Instead of saying you can't be in the grass, I think it should be you have to be on the dirt. And the reason I say that is because for 150 years, people have started on the grass and gone to the dirt.
And walked into the dirt.
You can't do it no more. It's illegal.
But, so they've kind of interpreted where, you can start, and then if you walk in as the pitch is being thrown, then it's fine. No, but, so certain umpires have been calling it that way, and then certain umpires have been saying you can have your heels on the grass. So we went back to MLB, and we've been saying that they're gonna change it. And it used to be reviewable. It was reviewable. So say Stroman's in the 7th inning,
right?
You start with your heels on the grass. Y'all get a double play out of the inning. The Cardinals could review that, and then you go back and play that all over again. You know what I'm saying? So they took that out. They took the review part out. Or they're taking the review part out, and I think they're gonna say where you can start on the grass and lean into the dirt.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, because if you say you just have to have something on the dirt, that essentially takes away the whole you can't play somebody in shallow right field because they could never touch the dirt. So I mean, like I said, a little bit of the language stuff I think could be changed. Because at the end of the day, baseball's not that technical of a game, right? There's so much flow to our game and so much chess pieces that go into the game. So it doesn't really bother me too much about not being able to shift. The bigger bases is honestly whatever. That doesn't bother me at all either. So I think intentions are right. I just think at times I think we all wish that there was a little bit of easier dialogue. And kind of understanding the true reasons as to why things get changed. Because Cease, as anytime someone has unilateral power and just says it and does something, there's going to be pushback all the time. Instead of just open and honest communication and collaboration with players.
But I can't blame this one on Rob though, bro. I think that this was coming. No, I'm just saying. I think that this was coming a long time ago, and the union didn't really inform y'all of how MLB could implement this and wanted to implement this a long time ago. So help with the dialogue and getting everybody on board. I think right now the way that we went about it was just to call it by the letter of the law. Like this is how it's going, and let's call it this way. So like all of this shit could get hashed out in spring training. So a game could end how it did in the Braves and whoever was playing that game.
Yeah.
So Manny could get banged right at the beginning. So all of this shit could happen so that we could have dialogue right now to get some of this stuff right. You know what I'm saying? I think as a matter of fact, Rob and Raul are in Arizona right now talking to teams and just getting you guys' feedback on like what you guys actually feel, what's too long. If a pitcher, like I know guys have been complaining about if a pitcher has to cover first base or back up bases, like when does the clock start? If you call timeout while you're hitting, then you get the timeout, and then when you get back in the box, the 20 seconds starts, right?
Right.
So I think they're going to change that to where like if you call timeout, then it's 30-second timeout for everybody. And then you have to be back in the box looking up with 8 seconds to go. So that a guy can't – so after you call timeout, a guy can't just hold set, and then when you get back in the box, throw a pitch.
Yeah, like because, I mean, you saw those videos like Scherzer and stuff. Like
that.
And there's going to be guys who are going to try and exploit that. And so I think that it's going to be big for the umpires to be able to like have our backs in a way because sometimes, man, like you get in the box and something just don't feel right. You know what I mean? Like you get in there and – maybe something in the box had moved and you're kind of like standing on, you know, like a clump or something. You got to call time to fix it. And so it's like, okay, I used my one time out. And then now I don't want to like get screwed over in my AB because the pitcher can just essentially even further dictate the at bat. You know what I mean? Like, I think that part is that's some of the stuff that kind of like bugs me a little bit.
It was a game. It was a Pittsburgh and Ryan, you called this game. The Pirates and Yankee game. And Mark Wagner, he didn't really call it by the letter. He just had feel for the game. He was letting like guys do landscaping like Dansby's talking about. He would stop the clock at certain times. And I even told you, I was like, man, that game feels like a little long, but it was still under 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? It was still 2:47, but he had a good feel for the game and the clock and like letting guys get their grace period, whether it's doing landscaping on the mound, in the dugout, in the box, all those different things. Right. So it's going to have to, the umpire's going to have feel too a little bit, which kind of sucks because then you're putting the human element back into it because then they can screw a guy that they don't like. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah, I think that the 247 is about, like, to me, that's about the right length of a baseball game. You know what I mean? And, like, that's where, to me, with where the clock is at now, it's almost like too fast. Because baseball is...
Speak for yourself, like, Dansby.
Baseball is to me, it's an hour every 3 innings. You know what I mean? So it's right at a 3-hour clip. And like 220, 230 is a little too fast. Like I think average game time should be probably around like the 247, 250-ish mark. Essentially, we're trying to get rid of the 4-hour 9-inning games.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Or even the 3.5 hour 9-inning games are crazy. But even just like for me, like watching all these games with the clock in spring training, and then now watching WBC, I'm like, fuck, I need the clock.
Bro, same. I was watching, I'm like, well, you just realize like there's so much unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that there's going to just need to be some tinkering because like even like when I get in the box, like I get in the box and like I kind of have my thing and I don't look up yet. So I'm like trying to figure out a little bit of like new speed or how do I get in and be alert by 8 seconds, but still be in my routine. I think that's been a little bit of like a challenge for me so far is like, how am I going to get in and like just be ready to hit and not kind of do, cause I'm a little fidgety, you know what I mean? Like, like Nomar was kind of the same way. I don't obviously do it as much, you know, like grab mine, pulling and tap my toes all the time. But there is something to be said about a little bit of like somewhat of a routine. And sometimes the clock is so fast. And, you know, now with the pitch the pitchers get the pitches super quick. So they're ready. And when you get in, it's almost like you don't even have time to like really get set up, which is going to be like kind of like the interesting thing of like, okay, if that's how it's going to be, I obviously need to like work on it and like make my adjustment. And that, bro, it's so funny because obviously, like the first 2 days, everyone was just complaining, man. Me too. I'm like, I literally told one of the umpires one day, I said, it was Jim Wolf. I said, Jim, I'm not even enjoying myself. I was like, this is miserable. I was like, I hate this. But I told everyone, I said, all right, hey, I'll give you like 72 hours to like complain as much as you want. Because after that, we got 3 things. You got 3 choices. Number 1, you can keep like bitching and complaining. That ain't helping nobody. Number 2, you can just embrace it, and we can figure out a way to best use this system to our advantage, which is the best option. And number 3, or we could just all collectively decide we just won't play.
Just say we're done.
I was like, we got 3 things to do. Okay, so you pick option 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah,
Dansby, I can tell you this. I want to be mindful of your time. I know you got a big tea time coming up. We want to let you go enjoy that birthday present. But I can tell you this: when you got a reservation at Oriole after a day game at Wrigley Field, you are going to love the pitch clock, man. With all the day games you're about to play with the Cubs, you are going to love that pitch clock, man. And the restaurants in Chicago. That's the spot, by the way. If you haven't eaten at Oriole yet in Chicago, it's unbelievable.
Hey, Unbelievable. What was your favorite place in Chicago?
Me, Gibson's, bro. I just kept it simple. Yep, just a steakhouse.
What kind of food is Gibson's? I'm gonna put
steakhouse.
Oriole and Gibson's. Okay.
And then they got Rosebuds. It's an Italian spot.
Okay. Have you been to Trivoli Tavern?
No.
Bro, that place is gas.
Really?
Yeah.
Trivoli Tavern. I'm actually going there. I'm going to Chicago on Saturday for a signing, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, the Vets.
The Vets.
Steakhouse is fire. And then obviously Chicago Cut's like a staple. Because Dave always takes care of everybody. You know, he's a big Chicago guy. So he always takes care of us. But yeah, I mean, man, there's so much good food. Like, that's like the one thing with Mal and I, like when we were up there, it's so easy to eat from the same place because they're all good. And we're like, you could eat something different every day, and you wouldn't even get through all the good food. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
wait till you're there and it's Taste of Chicago, bro, in the park, and it's gonna be. I mean, that's the best weekend in the summer. I'm telling you.
I am gonna have to find me some good old Southern cooking though, because your boy can't go too long without good old Southern cooking.
You know they got it on the South Side.
Because Mountain Stadium down there, so I'm gonna go pick up, do some fried chicken and collard greens on the way down for sure.
There you go.
Need it.
Well, Dansby, we always appreciate the time, man. Congratulations on the new deal, on the marriage, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. You're one of our favorites.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah, whenever y'all want, I'm back.
We'll check back in and see how you're feeling about that pitch clock a couple months in and what restaurant.
All right, that'll be good. Appreciate you.
All right, enjoy golf, bro.
See ya.